For many years, researchers have been attempting to define the true essence of leadership. My first experience studying leadership from an academic perspective was with Dr. Sauchik in AEC 3414 Leadership Development, which provided the foundation for my understanding of leadership beyond a superficial level as I was introduced to in-depth theories and topics for the first time. Through the leadership minor, I have been fortunate enough to continue my leadership education with additional courses, such as this one, that have provided supplemental information regarding leadership to further my understanding. As it turns out, leadership is actually much more complex than one might think. There have been a countless number of academic perspectives regarding leadership. Whether it was the great man theory, trait theory, situational theory, or many of the other various point of views, none of these theories could come to a consummate consensus about what leadership really is. In general, leadership is an individual journey, and each person can perceive it in his or her own way. From my perspective, leadership is the process of building a relationship with followers and striving to achieve a common set of goals. This definition of leadership can be broken down into three main components: relationship, process, and common goals. The relationship piece of this definition refers to a leader's ability to form relationships and influence his or her team members. By forming a strong bond with his or her team members, a leader is capable of elevating the performance of the team overall. On the other hand, if leaders do not have strong relationships with their team members, this will oftentimes become problematic. In AEC 3414, we read a lot of text from Peter G. Nordhaus. In his book, Leadership, Theory and Practice, Nordhaus states, leadership is about one individual influencing a group of others to accomplish common goals. A leader's ability to influence solely rests on the relationship he or she has with his or her team. In this course, Dr. Andanoro emphasizes the importance of being able to influence people in a positive way. For this reason, building proper relationships with team members is a prerequisite for team success overall. This idea is easily applicable in the real world, and we can see it quite easily in the sports realm. Teams who express strong bonds, or as we often like to refer to it as team chemistry, will perform above their given level of talent. However, the same observation can be made about the inverse statement. Popular examples are found in the National Basketball Association, or NBA, as many of the top players will join forces in what we like to call super teams. However, oftentimes, these teams face unforeseen issues as some of the players do not mesh well together, and the team underperforms holistically. This concept emphasizes the importance of relationships in the leadership process under any circumstance. Second, the process component of the definition refers to the fact that leadership is interactive. Despite the common belief that leaders are always the ones making the impact on followers, followers can just as easily influence the leader. As Nordhaus states, process implies that a leader affects and is affected by followers. From this perspective, leadership can be viewed as continuous transactions from leaders to followers and vice versa, in which both parties are mutual beneficiaries. Additionally, the process component refers to the fact that leadership is always evolving. With each new experience, a team gains a vital lesson in regards to its foundation. From a leader's perspective, new experiences help mold his or her outlook on leadership. This concept is easily applicable to my experience as a youth basketball coach. At first, I was not even sure how I would keep the attention of a dozen elementary school students for more than a minute, let alone compete and win games. However, as time went by, I was able to learn from my successes and my failures, and these experiences aided the team in becoming fully functional and competing for the championship. This idea refutes the concept of leadership being a natural-born gift. Rather, leadership is a practice that is crafted over time through a culmination of experiences. Third, the common goals component of the definition refers to the fact that the team must be mutually interested in accomplishing the set goals. If leaders are only seeking out their own self-interest, then this is not true leadership under any circumstance. Followers must be just as motivated to accomplish the group's goals, and this idea is paramount for the success of the team overall. Nordhaus discusses the importance of mutuality in his book, and he states, stressing mutuality lessens the possibility that leaders might act towards followers in ways that are forced or unethical. Leaders who are coercive and seek out their own interests can be extremely dangerous, and history has proven this case. For example, Adolf Hitler seemed like a transformational leader on the surface to many German citizens, but his own self interest proved to be deleterious for all of mankind. For this reason, it is important to stress the essence of mutuality in the leadership process. In general, the most effective and impactful leaders are those who are authentic. Bill George discusses this topic thoroughly in his book, True North. Through his research, George and his team conducted hundreds of interviews with some of the most notable leaders in our society, listening to their personal narratives and deriving lessons from each one. In conclusion, George discusses 5 major characteristics authentic leaders have in common. They understand their purpose, they practice solid values, they lead with the heart, they establish connected relationships, and they demonstrate self discipline. Understanding their purpose refers to how authentic leaders decide to use their influential role within the team. Authentic leaders understand the importance of elevating the performance of team members and not using them for personal gains. Leading the holistic team to success collectively is of the utmost importance to them. Practicing solid values refers to how authentic leaders have a core set of values from which they lead. Not all leaders are the same, and each person has his or her own authentic leadership style. This authentic style stems from a leader's core beliefs. According to George, leaders should not attempt to model their styles off of another leader. Rather, George claims leaders are much better off staying true to themselves, embracing their natural strengths and weaknesses. This idea relates to the next characteristic, which is leading with the heart. George's research discusses a countless number of leaders who were unsuccessful at first because they did not lead with their hearts, meaning they were not truly passionate about their work. These leaders were incentivized by money, status, power, or other various superficial topics, but they did not truly reach their pinnacles until they moved into the line of work they were most passionate about. Leading with the heart causes leaders to appear transparent and vulnerable to followers, which allows them to be even more successful. Establishing connected relationships refers to how leaders are genuine in their relationships, caring about each member in a legitimate way. Rather than creating superficial relationships for personal gain, authentic leaders genuinely take their connections seriously and ensure each member is nourished. Demonstrating self discipline refers to how authentic leaders stay true to their values when the times get tough. In crucial situations, it is easy for an individual to be led astray from his or her core values, but authentic leaders are disciplined enough to maintain their core being. As a result, authentic leaders make level headed decisions, regardless of how intense the consequences may be. In my experiences, I have had times when I expressed unauthentic leadership, but I have also expressed truly authentic leadership. In high school, I was a member of my school's King High School Fantasy Sports Club. I enjoyed playing fantasy sports, but I was not intrigued by a leadership position. However, the entire current executive board was graduating, and they were looking for candidates to fill their positions and keep the legacy alive. On multiple occasions, the current president and vice president pleaded with me to run for president because they thought I would be a good fit. I hesitantly agreed, even though I was not truly interested. I ran unopposed and I won the presidency. However, as the next year came around, it was clear that I did not put my best effort forward. I just was not passionate enough about the club and I did not really believe in its purpose. As a result, the club was not successful. However, my experience with the University Economic Society at the University of Florida represents a stark contrast. Ever since my first week at UF, I have been heavily involved and passionate about UES. I am deeply intrigued by economics and I love the way the club interacts with students to discuss such amazing topics. I've been fully committed to the club from the start, devoting a large amount of my time to it, and I am extremely excited to be the club's president for the upcoming semester. I absolutely love putting in the effort towards this club, and I believe these two contrasting experiences taught me an important lesson about authentic leadership. Through the success we have had in growing UES, I know that authentic leadership easily translates to team achievements because authentic passion can take a team a long way. This concept is universal to leadership. In general, possibly the most important characteristic a leader can have is being conceptual. Leadership is by no means a linear path. A conceptual leader understands that there will always be ebbs and flows in the goal achieving process. However, a conceptual leader always emphasizes the bigger picture, which a team shall find comfort with. There will always be obstacles, but a conceptual leader is talented at motivating his or her team towards its larger purpose. This idea is easily applicable to Bill George's research in True North. Many of the leaders he interviews have faced countless trials and tribulations, or as he likes to refer to them as, crucibles. However, the most successful leaders frame their situations as a lesson and use it towards post-traumatic growth rather than post-traumatic stress. In general, having perspective and emphasizing the bigger picture is one of the most pertinent things a leader can do going forward, I will highlight this concept throughout my leadership journey. In the future, being president of the University Economic Society provides me with a tremendous opportunity to develop my leadership skills further. However, people oftentimes fail to realize that you do not have to have a position or a title in order to express leadership. Any individual can use his or her influence to impact his or her friends, family, or peers in a positive way. It is a common misconception that you must have power in order to lead. Rather, leadership is non exclusive and it can be expressed by anyone under any circumstance. Possibly the most important aspect of all, leadership can be applied at the intrapersonal level, which is how we choose to lead ourselves. Many of the concepts we study are easily applicable at the individual level. For example, I have had a pretty hectic summer so far, but many of Bill George's teachings in True North have really helped to keep me moving forward on the right path. This idea proves that leadership knows no bounds and it can be utilized under any circumstance, which is essentially the true beauty of leadership.